Well, the topic of discussion here, the automotive bailout. We have heard the Treasury is assessing the cash needs of the automakers right now. President Bush said on his way back from Iraq and Afghanistan that while there's no deal yet, they are aware of the precarious situation involving the automakers and that something will happen sooner rather than later. Joining us with some insights on this, a man who's been deeply involved in the process, or at least he was until the Senate turned it down on Friday. Senator Bob Menendez, the Democrat from New Jersey, a member of the Senate Banking Committee, is back with us today. Senator, good to see you again. Welcome back.
Good to be with you.
What are you hearing? Where does this stand? Are you hearing a timetable at all? How much money are we talking about? Where is it going to come from?
Well, the timetable is still a little bit up in the air, although we don't have much time, and I think the administration knows that. I think taking a hard look at their balance sheet, at their burn rates, looking at, in fact, what type of money they give them in terms of getting them into the next administration for a more significant restructuring, what concessions can they get out of them, including making sure, of course, the taxpayers are put up first, and probably looking at TARP monies from everything I hear.
Senator, you know, one of the worries is that if you open up the TARP to the automakers, that there will be a host of other industries in trouble that will line up and say, hey, we weren't a financial institution, but neither were they, so we need TARP money at all. How much does that worry you?
Well, you know, when we wrote the legislation, it was ample enough, and, you know, even the witnesses we had at one of the last banking hearings re-emphasized what Chairman Dodd said about that the legislation was written amply enough to take care of other institutions beyond the financial institutions, although the financial institutions were the key focus. And look, I don't think it can be opened up to everyone, but I do believe that the automakers, when we see the consequences directly and indirectly, several million jobs, suppliers that also are suppliers to foreign makers that are producing here domestically, when we look at the consequences to people who have an American car, need a part in their warranties, taking a body blow at a time that this economy can certainly not afford it. Those are all circumstances that are unique. And the bigger question, which has yet to be resolved, is what is going to be the standard in general in terms of what is too big to fail or or an entity that creates too great a systemic risk to our overall economy.
Senator, it's been suggested that the Republican senators' opposition to a bailout is more about punishing the UAW for supporting Democrats than it is worrying about taxpayer protection. What do you think?
Well, there seems to be a duality of standards, I'll say that much. You know, when it came to the financial industry, I didn't hear the same series of questions, largely speaking, the same series of questions, the same standards as it related to that industry. And so, you know, one has to wonder whether or not there are issues beyond, you know, those that are being stated. You know, the bottom line is that, look, I don't have a great affinity for the automakers because they fought us tooth and nail on higher fuel efficiency, on better standards, on making the types of cars that Americans want to buy. But ultimately, the question is, what does this do to our economy if we simply let them go into a precipitous bankruptcy?
Senator Menendez, you sit on the subcommittee dealing with securities. Bernie Madoff, is this, should we just get rid of the SEC? I mean, what do they do?
I can't imagine you won't be calling Chairman Cox for a hearing at some point.
Well, I don't have that power, but I hope Chairman Dodd will, and I'm sure he will. Look, I've been critical of the Securities and Exchange Commission for some time now. I think that instead of being the cop on the beat, they've been hitting the snooze button, and I think this is one more example of it. I mean, you know, the reason we have an SEC is to make sure that while we have a free marketplace, it is a free marketplace that isn't a free-for-all, and that's the difference.
Senator, just a quick question on housing. I know you're on a key housing committee. What do you think of President-elect Obama's new pick for HUD?
You know, everything I know about his pick is he's an exceptional individual who has moved a lot of people into the opportunity to have a place to call home. I like the fact that he also has a great expertise on multifamily housing in a marketplace in which we need to give people options, especially where we see the numbers of foreclosure taking place. I think that'll be important. I think he'll be very important, as the President-elect has made it very clear that mitigation on foreclosures is going to be a big part part of what he wants to see happen.
Senator Menendez, always good to see you. Thank you for joining us. What turned out to be a wide-ranging news conference we just had there.
Certainly.
Good to be with you.
See you again soon.